to recording episode 4. Sorry for the wait. It's been a busy end to the year. I've tried to get out and film. The weather has been massively against me. I'd planned to film on the weekends. It started to absolutely tip it down with rain, so we couldn't do that. It then was really foggy, and then because the night's drawing really quickly, it was being really difficult to get anything recorded in time. So yeah, it is a bit of a delay, but we are now recording. So episode 4 is all about driving the Porsche, getting it out there, seeing what it's capable of, this car is now 21 years old, so it's just kind of seeing how well it's weathered really, and seeing what, I don't think I can really gauge what this car's like until I really drive it, see what the problems are. If we have any problems, I'm just kind of presuming we have problems, but I'm now going to take it out. We're going to drive it around and we're going to see kind of how this thing drives, see if it's still got the power. The idea is that it's going to go on a rolling road. I found somewhere that can do the all-wheel drive, so we're going to see how many horses are left. This should have just under 300 brake horsepower, should have a top speed of 170, 75, something like that. 0 to 60 in about 5.8 seconds. That was when it was box fresh. Now it's probably not going to have anywhere near that, so especially with the mileage. It has had an engine rebuild. So let's get out on the road, let's take it for a drive, and it's Christmas Eve, and I'm hoping the road's going to be quiet, but they're really busy, so let's get out there and let's get driving. This is the Porsche Carrera 4, comes with a 3.4 litre naturally aspirated engine. Sorry, I just turned the radio up then, I don't know what I did there. I'm trying to turn the heat down, it's absolutely boiling in this car. So Carrera 4, and which makes it the all-wheel drive. It's also, I think it's had you hear that? That is loud. I feel like this has had some kind of sports exhaust fitted in the past, because it is extremely loud. In the workshop this week I had a 996 turbo in, and it was nowhere near as loud as this, so this sounded a lot better, which is good. Now this car comes with a 5-speed Tiptronic Gearbox. We had problems with the gearbox in to be honest, in episode 1 I took you around the car and told you that we had problems. We had a full rebuild on the gearbox, and it is working really well now, so that is all good. Now the Carrera 4 was the all-wheel drive version, so it is a little bit heavier than its Carrera 2 stablemate, but it does make it a lot more drivable, and as it's December, although it is a quite nice December day, it does give it that extra hump on the road. Now, let's just do the seatbelt. When I bought this car, I didn't really, to be honest, it was a bit of a snap decision on it. Would I have bought a Tiptronic? Maybe not, but I actually quite like it. It makes it, I can drive around town, I can drive around villages, it changes up and down smoothly, I can change up and down also on this steering wheel with the buttons. So it's actually quite an easy Porsche to live with. Now the Porsche 996 was the predecessor, the carry-on from the Porsche 993, and the 996 was the first water-cooled Porsche 911 that they did. So the purists probably weren't that happy, but it had to meet certain regulations at the time, so this, it was the only way they could go. They couldn't keep making air-cooled engines forever, so this was a completely new design for Porsche. Now the 996 this is a bit bumpy road. The Porsche 996 isn't the most favourable of Porsches. It is one of the cheapest 911s you can buy. Its looks, not my favourite 911 looks, I have to admit. So if you're looking to get to Porsche 911 ownership, the 996 is a perfect entry into that. It hard to drive, and I'm really kind of glad that I bought this car. It's a really nice entry into Porsche 911 ownership. Now, driving's one thing I don't really like about this 996 is the driving position. I find that the problem is, for me, I'm quite tall, but the steering wheel sits quite low for me. I would prefer it a little bit higher, and I don't think there's an adjustment on it. There's an adjustment which brings the steering wheel out, but not up. So that's one thing I've got to look at. But since this gearbox has been sorted, it really does drive really well. But I have noticed, so like I said, I've been quite lucky this week. We've got 996 turbo in, and so I've been driving that a little bit as we've done some work on it. But I'm just going to say cyclist. But it has made me realise how loose this car is on the front end. So I'm going to replace on the front suspension the coffin arms and they call it the tuning fork suspension parts. They're going to get done because it's very clattery at the front. It's quite loose. It just doesn't feel as planted as it should do. I have had a look at the history on this vehicle, and it does state that it has had quite a lot of work. It's had new alternators, had new aircon pipes, power steering pipes, it's had new rear suspension, it's also had new valves, and it had some engine work done, and I also know it's had an engine rebuild as well. So I know a lot of people have been inquiring about the intermediate shaft bearing, which is a big problem on the Porsches. I wouldn't have thought this car, I mean, I haven't got the history written down saying it's had the IMS done, but I've been told that it has had an engine rebuild and the IMS was completed at that point, and I wouldn't have thought it'd have got to 155,000 miles without that happening. Now the IMS bearing for resale value is quite an important thing. A lot of people do ask, has it been changed? It does go quite spectacularly. It will ruin the engine, and some telltale signs what you'll get. I mean, sometimes you don't get a lot of warning, but you will get some oil leak from that bearing. Basically what happens is oil gets in there, it gets dry, and then it will start to move, and then some oil will come out the seal. Now, to check that, you do have to take the gearbox off. Whether you've got a manual or an auto, you do have to take the gearbox off to check that. Sometimes you can also find some little bits of metal or filings in the oil if there's an oil change. So that is one thing. I know it's quite a common, well, they say it's quite common, but sometimes it doesn't affect these earlier cars. This is a Gen 1, it's a 99, but like I said, I do know it. What I've been told is had the IMS bearing done. So moving forward with this car, there are going to be a few project stuff with it. I want to give it a real proper check over before it goes off to the rolling road, and it is absolutely hammered to within an inch of its life to see what brake horsepower we still have left in it. So I want to make sure that it's all running right for that. It was running a bit rough on idle a little while ago, but it seems to have sorted itself out. So I just want to check that nothing's kind of caused that. I had to top up a little bit of the oil the other day because the oil light was coming on. But all in all, I haven't had a lot of problems with it, and I have been using it as a bit of a daily as well. It's, like I said, it's just so easy to drive. I can drive it out and about. It's got the four-wheel drive. It's not too bad in icy weather. It starts better than my diesel Land Rover, so that's another reason why I've been using it. And I've just enjoyed being in it and driving it and taking it around the country roads. We have had a lot of rain though, so I have been less able to use it because I don't want it to go through puddles and bits like that. But I just love the sound of it, really do love the sound of it. So what is the next step in this journey? So I am looking to change the looks of this vehicle. I can't say I'm that keen on the front bumper, so I'm looking at potentially changing that over to a turbo bumper. I also want to change the colour, so the plan is maybe to go to like a dark grey. The wheels, I want new wheels. I'm keeping these for the winter because of all the salt on the road, and I don't want a new set to get ruined. So yeah, the plan is we'll keep the wheels for the winter. Brakes, I haven't touched on the brakes yet, so when you're driving it quite spiritedly, brakes are terrible, absolutely awful. So the plan is to, the discs seem okay, it might just be that the pads need deglazing, but what I'm going to do instead, I'm actually going to replace the front discs, the front and rear pads, they're going to get changed. It's a bit sunny today, it's a lovely day. So they're going to get changed. I'm also going to change the brake fluid, and I'm also going to put some braided hoses on instead of the rubber ones that we've got on at the moment. They're going to get done because I just think with a car like this, you want to have confidence in your brakes, and I just don't. They're just, the pedal, God, I've steamed up a bit, it's because I'm talking so much. The pedal's just hard. You go for your brakes, it's just really hard. You don't get any feedback from it, so yeah, I need to change that. Plans are we might take it on track day next year, things like that, but as far as interior goes, probably not much that we're going to do. It's okay in here really, it's just the outside of it. Potentially might put a ducktail on the back. I just want to make it look a little bit different. It's quite a standard looking vehicle, and I'm just not keen on the standard looks of it. The front bumper just, hear that noise? Oh yes, oh yes. This is brutally quick. Just can't help myself. It's kind of like a bit Jekyll and Hyde. You can go around and you can just, you know, potter around, go do it around, do your town stuff, and then you hit a bit of country road or a bit of open road on the motorway, and you're like, whoa, what the hell was that? I've just had a rock hit the windscreen. Oh, right, I think we will end the video there, because I've now got to check the damage, and I will show you the damage part. So yeah, this is what happened. We've got, this massive where rocks hit, and then we've got all shards of glass all on the seat. Yeah, not the ending I wanted on this one, but now we have to fit a new windscreen, so